Okay, this will officially be the mock interview assignment. I have with me here just a list of questions. I'll be referring back down to these every so often, every time we switch questions, but I have no notes, I have nothing here. It's just myself, the camera, and this sheet of paper. So, first question, tell me about yourself. My name is Ben McCormick. I am currently a senior in college at Colorado Christian University, finishing my degree in exercise science and kinesiology. I've been studying kinesiology for roughly about 7 years, 4 years of which have been very serious study. In my free time, I will quite literally read the latest research articles or whatever the new information of evidence-based practices there are concerning kinesiology, especially when it comes to bodybuilding and powerlifting. I would really say that those are two of my biggest passions. I think that also I'm a very disciplined person, a very work ethic, internally motivated person, and I think that really helps me to excel in this particular field. So, number 2, why did you choose to study the field you have chosen for your undergraduate education? I think that there are essentially 2 components that make up this question. I think originally I chose to study this field because of my passion for bodybuilding and for powerlifting, and it was essentially en route of my own passion and my own desire to go far in bodybuilding and powerlifting. How can I get stronger? How can I get bigger? So fueling that passion was really my own internal desire to accomplish my own goals, but has since gravitated to understanding that there is an internal desire that I have to help people, and I have a very unique situation where I can use my knowledge and my competence and the confidence that I have in myself with my knowledge in kinesiology to go ahead and do that. So understanding that really in this particular job, people don't like kinesiology, people don't always like working out. So how can I use my knowledge to not only change their bodies, but to ultimately change a life that I could with my clients or with my athletes. So number 3, what are your top 2 strengths and why? I think number 1, my biggest strength is my extreme work ethic. I can sit down and write a 10-page paper in one sitting without really getting distracted. When I get focused, I can just go, and I can go without cease. But I think really to expand upon that a little bit more, my second biggest strength is my extreme attention to detail. I am a perfectionist by nature, and I think with that paired extreme work ethic with my perfectionism, I pay attention to every single little detail, and I put 100% of my effort into every little of those details. So, for example, if we were to take this to a professional realm, if I'm programming for an athlete, I'm making sure that I'm giving 100% of myself and putting forth 100% of my effort to do the best job with that particular client, with this particular thing that I'm doing. So for example, let's say we're talking about a programming perspective. I am taking into consideration every variable possible. Can I include any intensity techniques here? Can I include, maybe a different exercise selection? How can I optimize this program to get the best possible results for that person? So that's essentially how I would answer that question. Number 4, what is one area of weakness that you can improve upon, and how do you plan on improving it? One comes to mind, actually 2. One of them is interpersonal skills. It's not necessarily a weakness, but it is definitely something that I can improve upon. I think early in my career, I will be faced with some clients. I will be having some clients, especially if I work for a larger organization. I will have some clients that are a bit older than me. So I think building rapport with those clients is very, very important if they're going to stay with me. So I think, with that extreme, maybe sometimes extreme age gaps, working on how can I connect with this person, how can I talk to them, how can I relate to them in some way when our walks of life are completely different. So relating to them, connecting with them is something that I can definitely work on. But I think that this is a skill that will be developed in the professional field for me because I am working every single day. I'm getting practice with that every single day. I think after a certain amount of time within my own career, this is something that I will build automatically and without even really trying. But it just comes with practice and repetition. Question number 5, where do you see yourself professionally 5 years from now? So as it stands now, after I graduate, I will be taking a 1-year gap year just to get into the professional field. This is also where I can get my CSCS certification and really get into the workforce and start getting some experience. But 4 years from now, depending on the grad school that I go to, assuming that it is a 4-year grad program, I will be finishing up my last year of grad school. I plan on studying or getting my master's in exercise physiology. And in addition to that, I think while I am simultaneously finishing up my master's degree, my plan is to work for a larger organization, hopefully an NASM or NSCA organization. I think that for me, my route of passion is going to be as a physique enthusiast. So maybe I could work as the head physique consultant somewhere, something to fuel my passion for bodybuilding or for hypertrophy training or for strength training. So it's less around the route of working with particular athletes in terms of I want to work with our Broncos or I want to work for a D1 professional program. I want to work with specific clients that are focused on strength training and bodybuilding. So if I can work for an organization that has an extreme emphasis on bodybuilding or powerlifting, then that would obviously be ideal. And this is something that I would love to do. Number 6, describe your ideal work environment. What culture do you thrive in? For me, I like an environment where everyone's responsibilities are clearly laid out and it's very structured. I'm a very type A person like that. I enjoy the structure, so I enjoy knowing exactly what my roles are, exactly what the person next to me's roles are, and how we can work as a team to do so. Another thing is a team environment. With my other colleagues, I would like to work with them as a team. I'd like to consult with them, bounce ideas off of them. How can I do this better? How can I do that better? And at the same time, give them advice for how I might do something different as well. As far as another thing, I think that in addition to team building, I think that working from home is obviously very important to me as well. If I'm ever in a situation where I need to take my work home with me, whether it be working with individual clients or doing work in the context of home, that's definitely something that I would enjoy doing as well. So having the freedom to work from home instead of just primarily at that organization. Then we move on to question number 7A. When it comes to the proper training of clients or athletes from the perspective of a strength coach, what are 3 important variables to consider? So I think number 1, first and foremost, if I'm working with an athlete or with a client, let's say bodybuilding, for example, I think the number 1 most important is clearly defining their goals. So what do they need? Do they need to get bigger? Do they need to get faster? Do they need to get stronger? Each of those has entirely different programming schemes and exercise selections and maybe even periodization styles. So I think that clearly defining their particular goals so that I can do my job the best that I possibly can for them to get them the results that they need to see is extremely important. Number 2 variable I think is previous injury. So if a client is coming to me for the first time, I want to know a full demographic about them. Have you had any previous injuries? I think that's important to know. Really more so for me, for programming perspective. Do I need to stay away from certain movements that may irritate a specific part of the body that has previously been injured by you? Have you had any previous surgeries? Do you have any range of motion limitations that I need to know about? All of this is to really get the best possible results for them. And the more information that I can get from them in terms of their own demographics and especially injury prevention, the better. In addition to that, the third most important, and in no particular order, obviously, is making sure that they're cleared before I actually start working with them. So giving them something like a PAR-Q test, which will include all the demographics, like have you been injured, but making sure that I have my own liability as well. So making sure that I can't get sued in case I didn't know anything about them or in case they misfilled something out on any of the forms. So that's extremely important to me as well. Finally, 7B, how do you plan on applying your education and staying up to date on your current evidence-based practices within your own discipline? This is something that's kind of already ingrained into the CSCS. So when I get my CSCS, hopefully before I graduate, it's a requirement to keep that CSCS at every 2-ish years or so, I believe, that you consult new research, that you do something that is worthy of maintaining that CSCS. So that's already something that I will obviously be doing, but I'm a firm believer also in that you never know enough in your professional field. So the more certifications that I can get, whether it be like a personal training certification or a PBC certification, professional bodybuilding coach certification, or a nutrition certification, the more information that I can get myself exposed to, the better. The better for myself and the information that I can give to my clients, but the more my clients will benefit from that information. Finally, we move on to question number 8. Can you share an experience where you were challenged academically or professionally? How were you challenged? How did you handle it? What is one lesson you learned? So I actually have a very good example. I am very bad at history. I took a course in high school called APUSH, Advanced Placement U.S. History, and it was one of the most difficult classes I've ever taken just because I don't have the mindset of history. So the situation was that the assignments were stacking up and I didn't know how to quite handle it because it was so much to memorize. So in order to do that, like the specific task that I had to do was I was staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, filling out notes upon notes upon notes, and in class I had lectures that I would videotape from the professor and then re-listen to it when I got home. So it did show an example of my extreme work ethic. But that was the action that I had to take. I had to spend a ridiculous amount of time studying and really preparing for those courses and for that information, more so than the other students did. So in result, I did end up getting an A in the class, but it was because of the extreme amount of effort that I put in. I would go home from school and start reviewing my notes, start listening to those video lectures and take notes upon notes upon notes, and then study until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So it really demonstrated my extreme work ethic. But that class, the amount of effort that I had to put in, it was required. So that's one lesson that I really learned from taking that class, is that it just shows that the amount of effort that you put into something, if you put in enough effort, you will get something out of it. Finally, number 9, what questions do you have for us? I think the number one question that I would have for an interviewer is, what can I do to be successful here in the next 3 months? Or what qualities do I have to possess? What things can I do to give myself the most amount of success possible? But I'd also use this as an opportunity to really interview the company to make sure I was a good fit as well. So, what are your meeting schedules like? Are they weekly? Are they bi-weekly? What's the vacation policy? What's some expected hours? Is it from 7 to 3, or is it 9 to 5? So just really an opportunity to really interview the company as well.